Today we're going to be talking about how to make 1250 on chess.com. At 1250, you are now at 90%, the 90th percentile of all players who have ever played there. That's not a slouching achievement. The other reason I chose 1250 is that corresponds to our 1000 in the universal dojo rating system. We had to create a system that, spoke to all these different ones. For example, 1250 is 1050 USCF and 1450 Lichess. Right? And I have done thousands of graduation ceremonies, watching players progress from the very lowest levels all the way up to 1000 and beyond. And I'm here to share with you the 3 things that I have noticed that all of these players have to learn to overcome this 1250 barrier. The first one I'm going to call getting a grip. It's not actually tactics. Tactics are like 1 or 2 move combinations, patterns that you learn, and those are all important. But where these games are being decided, in every graduation ceremony, I look at one of these games. They're being decided by someone hanging a piece, an outright blunder. Okay? And most of these things you could say to yourself, oh, I wouldn't do it. No, but the problem is you got to hold that line for 40 or 50 moves, not blundering something, okay? And it's very difficult, and you need a mental box of the board in your mind where you can see the square control. And so I'm going to tell you the ways to do it, whether you're part of the dojo training program or not. Number 1, the first thing you have to do is simply recognize, my games are being decided by somebody blundering a piece. And then you say, right, my simple path to making 1000 is to take the free stuff, trade everything down, and then win in the end game. That is a sure path to getting to 1000. However, you still need the ability to not lose stuff. So one thing we did at the dojo that I can highly recommend is we do what we call blunder games. That means playing like a 15-minute game and just reviewing it to say to yourself, someone blundered a piece here. And if you are playing in the under 1000 or under 1250 chess.com cohorts, groups, somebody will be blundering a piece. And so you just go through the game and find where it was, whether it was you or your opponent. It will be there. Number 2, I really like books like Everyone's First Chess Workbook because they start off with people hanging basic stuff and you just have to find it. And what I've learned is, especially for this under 1000 cohorts, that the tactics that you learn, what it is it's really teaching you to grip the board. Yes, there's patterns and stuff that you'll use, but it's the grip of the board that you need to learn to not hang stuff. And doing tactics will force you to visualize what's going to happen in a move or 2. What we found at the dojo is that you need a Puzzle Rush high score of about 25 to make it. It's very consistent, actually, across the different players who've done this, that you need a 25. Another thing that I can highly recommend are the Polgar Maiden 2s. We have those in the dojo training program, not necessarily super hard ones, but the point is, with a Maiden 2, you are being forced to visualize the square control around the black king, right? Again and again and again, and you have to get good at it. What is controlled by what? And that is going to help you not drop stuff. Okay, so that's the first most important thing, getting a grip, aka not hanging stuff. Number 2 is in many ways related to number 1, but it's a separate skill, and we're going to call it chess stamina. Again and again, what we see in these graduation ceremonies is that players are unable to sit on their hands and think. So imagine a game that has a time control of 30 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 plus 30. What we see are time graphs, and our dojo training program is this beautiful ability to just show visually these time graphs. And it's so helpful just to tell a story of what's happening in the game. And you see that people stop thinking again and again. And one of the cool things of those of us in the program, what I've seen in the graduation ceremonies is after they've been there for a while, they're playing against these randos online, and those people aren't capable of thinking. And it is simply harder to think when you're distracted by the online world out there. It's easier just to go pop, pop, pop. And so as a metaphor, think about trying to lift something heavy 50 times in a row. After a while, of course, your body's going to get tired. But what we call that is stamina, your ability to keep going, right? Some of us have more stamina, some less physically. With the mind, it is also stamina. It doesn't feel like it, though, because what happens is instead of saying to yourself, oh, I can't lift it anymore, what happens is your mind says, oh, screw it. And then you just move. You make what we call an impulsive decision. You're not capable of sitting on your hands. And it's so important at this, it's always important, but especially making it over 1,000 to just stop. Somebody is probably hanging something and we need to find it. And if you slow down, you have a much better competitive chance of finding it. And then reviewing your games, looking at the time chart, will help you identify this problem. And you'll begin to see that all of your opponents, or most of them, have the exact same issue. All right, so that's chess stamina, number 2. Number 3, I would say, is the easiest to learn and will help you very much, especially after you get past 1,000. But here it will just serve as a competitive advantage, okay? And that is that instead of learning openings, focus on getting your people out. Get them out into the game. And one of the things we see is that players oftentimes get confused with different opening setups and yada, yada. But simply understand that you are a coach and that you can bring your players in one at a time in a game. And if they aren't in the game, they are not playing the game. So the more players you have out there playing, the better chances you're going to have in this competitive scenario where somebody's probably going to hang a piece, okay? And a classic example I'll give here is somebody plays h6 because they're terrified of knight g5. They've been burned in the past, but they could play bishop e7. They could play bishop c5. The queen is protecting g5. See, it's visualization. But they've been burned so many times in the past, they play a move like h6, and we see this countless times. It's not like they're giving up the time because they don't they don't know how to think about time, but it's because they've been traumatized that they make these weak moves. And it all kind of interrelates. After you are not afraid of dropping pieces, you will be more confident in simply bringing out your people, and that will help you beyond 1,000, but of course also below 1,000. But remember, the games are actually decided by people hanging stuff. So there it is. 3 simple things that you need to get to 1250 ChessCom, 1,000 the ChessDojo rating. And it is a proud achievement. That means you are at the 90th percentile of all people who've ever gone to chess.com. Amazing.